Now, thank you very much for having me along again. I was going to do a presentation, but I thought, and I've mucked up Phil with picking up presentations and whatnot, but I thought I'd just give you my impressions of Rio and what was going on over there. And I've been madly writing notes on a letter that I received from the IOC president this morning, which details a whole lot of stuff about the games. And so I'm going to refer to a little bit of that as well. I'm going to cover off Rio, and it was incredibly challenging. The most challenging games that there's been, I would say. And talking a bit about Rio, talking about some of the issues over there, the role of the IOC and the IOC staff, which did an incredible job. And also, I'll talk a little bit about that. The Australians and our performances, and some of you in this room probably think they were fantastic, and congratulations, and some in this room probably think, it was a bloody disaster. So there's probably a lot of you in between, and and where that sits, and sort of how we reconcile that. And then I'm going to talk about the makeup of the IOC, which is it's a pretty unique thing to be involved in. Anyway, so Rio, and I must say, as I'm going along, feel free if you want to clarify anything or ask a question about a particular point that I'm making, go for life. Just make it as informal and as interactive as possible. So Rio, they were awarded the game 7 years ago. And 7 years ago, iron ore was probably $150 a tonne, and oil was nearly $100 a barrel. And Brazil was the B in BRIC economies. They were, the South American economy that was absolutely flying, along with Russia, India, and China. The B was the BRIC, and to award the games, it was the chance to give the games to South America, or award the games to South America, and to open up the importance of sport in that region. Cities use it as a fantastic excuse to build infrastructure as well. So to get the games in an environment where their economy is absolutely flying, iron ore is very, very important for them, and oil as well. They just made some discoveries off the coast. So their economy is flying. In that backdrop, they've been awarded the games, not only to build a lot of infrastructure around sport, but also use it as an excuse to build public transport systems, which they badly needed, and also water treatment facilities as well. So a couple of examples of infrastructure that they so desperately needed. Go forward 7 years, and iron ore, I don't know, it's 30 or 40 bucks a tonne, and oil, $50 a barrel, and the place is broke. They ran out of money, essentially. And that caused a whole lot of issues, as you can imagine, when you're trying to put on an Olympic Games. So the media got hold of this, and like every Games that you would remember leading into an Olympics every 4 years, they're always going to be a disaster. And then after the Games, every 4 years, they are fantastic. And it was the case with Rio. We had issues, the funding was a massive issue. We had issues with security. There was going to be a massive issue with water quality. And to finish it off, you got the Zika virus, which everyone was paranoid about. Doesn't affect the guys. But, so I spent 3 weeks in Rio. I saw 2 mosquitoes. Our hotel was near the beach, and I swam or surfed every morning in the ocean, and it was crystal clear water. And walking around the cities felt very, very comfortable. There's a huge amount of security. But, so those 3 aspects were irrelevant. And they did do a fantastic job on the game. So they ran out of money, okay? So there was a lot of issues around that. Being in that situation, they had to prioritise where they were going to spend the funding, and thankfully and rightfully their priority was the venues for the athletes, the fields of play. So all of the venues and as I'm saying this, I'm thinking about the diving pool, which changed colour. All of the venues were fantastic. I mean, the hockey players were saying it's the best pitch they've ever played on. The rowing course, it was windy in the first couple of days, but beautiful, you know, underneath the cliff with Christ the Redeemer on it. The pools were great, the rugby fields, the cycling course. If you watched the road race, the vision of that on that first morning was extraordinary. And really, you know, technical descent. You know, there were a few mishaps there. So the venues were fantastic. The fields of play were brilliant, and the athletes all appreciated that. And I think everyone appreciated that you were running out of money, you need to prioritise where you're going to spend it. So that was really, really important. Now, some of you would have been to the Sydney Games, or Olympic Games, but some of you would have been to the Sydney Games, and you would remember if you had that not only were the games being played out, but the whole city, flags and banners and billboards. Like if you arrived in Sydney, you knew that the Olympic Games was on. In Rio, because they'd run out of money, none of that was there. You know, raw scaffolding, which normally you would cover with Olympic logos and all that sort of stuff, it was there. So it was a really, really different experience. And the public transport, they weren't able to spend but they did attend to water treatment facilities, absolutely, and that's improved. And public transport has also improved. I saw the statistics that before the Games, 16% of the population had access to public transport, and after the Games, because of what they put in place now, 60-odd% has got access to public transport. So they were able to actually improve the infrastructure. But it was, they wanted to do a hell of a lot more. Now the funding, so the Brazilians' view of risk is far different to ours. If something requires a day to be built, and you need it on a certain day, we build it a month out, test it, and deliver it. The Brazilians will build it a day out and just trust that it's going to be fine. So it's a completely different mindset when you've got staff members of the IOC who are Swiss, who, you know what the Swiss are like, and when they're trying to deal with the Brazilians, I mean, you've got this incredible cultural divergence. So, this manifests, the best example of this is the Olympic Village, which is a fantastic village. If you saw some of the images of it, beautifully laid out. The buildings are, because they turn it into a residential area afterwards. They take the opportunity to use it for developing new residency. So beautiful buildings, great activity areas within this sort of hub of buildings, a little creek running through it, no mosquitoes. Tennis courts, soccer fields, all the infrastructure around it, a really nice residential area. But they didn't pay the tradespeople for the last 3 months. And some of the plumbers thought they'd get retribution on the organising committee. So on an ad hoc basis, they were concreting up the sewer pipes. So, just to get back, they weren't being paid, so we'll concrete up a few pipes. So, as teams would arrive into the village, and Australia was the first ones in there, and you would have seen in the papers the pictures. It was like a bloody bomb site, building site. There was stuff everywhere, and so they cleaned all that up, and then when they started turning showers on, flushing toilets, they got a big surprise that nothing was going down the drains because they were full of concrete. So the tradies, on an ad hoc basis, had concreted up various drains, and no one knew where they'd done it. So as each country would come in, it's like Russian roulette. You're not going to flush the toilet because who knows what's going to happen. So that, the Brits, they gave up a couple of accreditation. Or some accreditation to full-time plumbers. They had 2 full-time plumbers as part of the British team just to fix things as they were going on and trying to manage all of these things. So there was a lot of issues like that. There was I've got a photo in my phone. I don't know where it is, because someone sent it to me, and I can't remember who sent it to me, but it's in my phone somewhere. And it's a photo of a roof space, so the gap between the ceiling and the floor below. Because during construction, a tradesperson had realised that the roof was leaking. And so they fixed it. Anyway, when I think it was the US team, when they were in the village, the roof started leaking in one of the levels. So they got one of the, someone to get in there and get into the roof space and have a look to see if they could fix it. And they peeled the plaster back, we got in underneath, looked up inside, and the tradesperson a month ago fixing the leak, there were 3 leaks, had hung 3 buckets in the roof space. So, those buckets fill up and stuff. Yeah, it's got there's stuff like this all the time. And anyway, so to get on top of that, I mean, as I said, it was the most challenging games for sure. I know, and I was in a breakfast meeting one morning, and a New Zealander, Kit McConnell, is his name. He's the director of sport at the IOC. And he was sitting next to me, and he looked at his phone. I could see him looking at his phone, and he just put his head in his hands. I said, mate, what's up? He goes, he said, you know how the triathlon is starting tomorrow? I said, yes. And he said, well, they haven't built the starting pontoon yet, so I've got to go. So every day it was something, it was this tolerance of real, their risk tolerance was incredible. And if something only needed one day to be built, then they'd leave it till the last day. And the IOC staff, so the IOC committee, and then about 250 staff, games department, sport department that sit underneath that. So the committee make the decision. It's like the board makes the decision and the staff actually have to do it. They had moved, the sport department and the games department had moved to Rio 3 months before the games. So about 30 people out of Switzerland to Rio just to finish the bloody thing off, to get it done. So and they were working incredible hours just to try and deliver the games, and to do it on a day-by-day basis. Every day it was like, great, we got that one out of the way, what's next? What do we have to fix, or what do we have to help to deliver the games? So it was incredibly challenging. As I said, I was there for 3 weeks, so the first week, a whole bunch of meetings, and we had the Russian issue. And it's like the good old days of East Germany, it's state-based, state-sponsored, state-organised, systematic doping. And so I'm sit on the Athletes Commission. We made a recommendation to the Executive Board to knock out the entire Russian team. That was, as I said, that was the recommendation we made to the Executive Board. They start to consider it, they get the lawyers involved, and the lawyers say, oh, but hang on a minute, you can't, because in the Olympic Charter, bylaw, whatever it is, they will appeal to the Court of Arbitration of Sport, and they'll get off. So, whilst it is the IOC's games, and they can work out what's in the Charter and what's out of the Charter, in particular the European courts and the, I'm trying to think of the word, the civil rights. The Europeans, they're really strong on that. So there's a doctrine of proportionality, because all the athletes want a life ban. They want to give, anyone that cheats a life ban. But there's this thing called proportionality. You can't, for one misdemeanor, you can't give a life ban. It's not like a mass murder of 100 people. So to give them a second chance. So there's all sorts of things that where we want to make strong decisions, but the lawyers start advising, well, that would fail. Well, the appeal would be successful if that person appealed. So what the IOC did was say to each of the sports, right, here's a really, really strict criteria, And if you have Russian athletes in your sports that satisfy that criteria, they can compete, and if not, bad luck. So athletics, it was the entire Russian athletic team, so a very strong stance. Rowing, my sport, visa, was very strong as well. I think there was 17 athletes that were not allowed to compete, and 4 that were. It satisfied that criteria. But it was really inconsistent from sport to sport. So, you know, rowing and athletics was really strong. Swimming, I think, was incredibly weak. They were almost celebrating when a Russian athlete was successful going to the Court of Arbitration of Sport and was allowed in to compete. And so they're cheering. It's like, that's not the, well, personally, that's not the right message. And so it was really disappointing to see some sports, it was pleasing to see some sports do it really well, but really disappointing to see other sports do it quite poorly. And in fact, I was presenting the medals to the women's 100 metres freestyle swimming. I thought that's a no-brainer. I'm going to present a gold medal to an Australian. Kate Campbell has let me down like you wouldn't believe. So she's got 4 years to think about that. I've only got a day. But Matt Dunn, who some of you would remember, Matt Dunn as a medalist swimmer for Australia, he's on the board of FINA. So FINA is the governing body of swimming. And he was saying that at their board meetings, he was, a few of them were trying to, state their case for a really strong stance against Russian athletes. And even at that level, some of the more senior members were very pro-Russian. They make a lot of money out of holding world championships in Russia. So there's this incredible, it's really disappointing, and needless to say, it's the priority. I'm referring to this letter, and in here they're talking about what's the priority going forward, and it is to decide to work through that McLaren report and work through one. So there were 2 issues with Russia. One, the systematic approach to doping, but 2, and possibly more concerning, was the complete lack of independence of the Russian anti-doping organisation, our version of ASADA, that was tampering with the results. So not only have you got a state-based system, but you've also got the group that's supposed to be independent administering it, they're mucking around with the samples as well. So huge headaches on a couple of fronts. So that was basically the first few days of meetings. And then we got into the opening ceremony. The opening ceremony was fantastic. I thought it was brilliant. It cost 1/20th of the budget of London's opening ceremony. So it was really the austerity games, but on that budget they did a brilliant job. I thought the opening ceremony was perfectly done. It was very, very well done. What else have we got? So I talked about the organisation. Yeah, the organisation did an incredible job. The funding, they were broke. Social media. So I will refer to my notes here. Social media was extraordinary. So in here, global audience, it's estimated more than half of the world's population watched part of the games. 90% of the Brazilians watched the games, and the football final between Brazil and Germany was the most watched sports events in Brazil's history. 43 million people tuned into that match. In total, so the Olympic Broadcasting Service, a crowd that actually had all the cameras everywhere and filming every sport, they produced almost 350,000 hours of coverage for the games. And that's 150,000 more hours than in London, so 4 years ago. It's just incredible. On Facebook, so on the social media side of things, they had 5 billion visits to the Olympic, or anything to do with the Olympics Facebook pages, which was 5-fold increase over London. So just in a 4-year period, just people don't watch the games now on television now. You've got an app, you go online, there's a whole, they talk about the Olympic channel, but it's media channel. It's just extraordinary. We will continue to watch things differently going forward. I think Channel 7 is going to get a lot of feedback about the game's coverage. Who thought, hands up, who thought it was decent coverage and who thought they could improve it quite a bit? Improvement? Pretty good? Non-committal, a lot of non-committals there. Anyway, I think they can do a lot of improvement. But so Channel 7 take that coverage and work forward with it. Okay, so that's that. So during the games, once the games start, everyone forgets about mosquitoes and water quality and security issues, and get on with the competition. And I must say, with regards to security, if you're going to visit a city, visit it when the games are on. Because it'll never be cleaner, it'll never be better run, it'll never be safer than that time. I mean, there's security walking around, driving, and the security presence around Rio was incredible. And actually, I had the chance. So in that first week before the games, I had the chance to carry the flame, the torch. It's pretty cool. And we went out to a town outside of Rio, and it's probably about an hour's drive. And it's really well organised. Like, you're in this van of all the torch bearers. You get driven to the segment that you're going to run, and there is security everywhere. Like, there's four-wheel drives with 50 caliber machine guns sitting on the roof. Man, they are serious. And anyway, so this is all quite comforting because we're going to a pretty, well, it wasn't